Hello, welcome to another mini Monday episode of the No Rest for the Vivid podcast with Claire, your host. And this is also on YouTube. If you'd rather just stop and pause if you're listening on the podcast and go and watch me on YouTube, you can see my face. There it is. I'm talking today about executing your plan. How do you set up when you've got this idea in your head of doing something? For example, I'm writing a book, and actually there's a whole podcast about me strategizing and doing that, and I think it's a previous episode. But when you have a plan, how do you execute it? How do you actually do it? Who is watching you do it? Who are you telling that you're going to do? Now, I've got a great example of this. I had an amazing idea a little while ago before Christmas about creating a wire art kit that was incorporating the idea of Lego as well as embroidery, but you're learning wire art. Okay. So I had this amazing idea, and actually it was in one of my membership sessions, my group coaching sessions, where you can actually see the idea fall into my head, and I had like a reaction to it. I was so excited. And in my head, I was like, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to love it. So straight away, I created a product listing on my Vivid Wire website. I went, excuse me, I went on my stories and said, I've had this idea. This is what it is. I'm so excited about it. If you want to get involved, purchase here, pre-order. I'm going to do it as a nice, cheaper price, just to, because it's the first time that this is going to happen, and you can get your hands on it first. Then I can ask for feedback. And loads, well, I think I've had 10 people buy it, I think, something like that. Anyway, I think it's 10. And so I created, I did that. I didn't realize how difficult this idea was going to be. And by making sure that I am being held accountable, I did say it was going to take a while for me to get it up off of the ground. And thankfully, I'm so grateful for the people that have invested in it and said, no, I believe it. I know you're going to deliver, and we're patient, thank the Lord. But I am still working on it. Now, it's quite a difficult process. It actually is taking a lot more brain power and willpower than I imagined, because sometimes the greatest ideas we have make us feel very uncomfortable. And so we need to sort of adjust how we approach these ideas to make sure that we actually execute them. So my plan, my idea to make sure I get this done, is that the kit stuff is on my kitchen table. Every day, twice a day, I sit down and I do 30 minutes at least. Now, yesterday I did a lot more than that, but I'm doing 30 minutes at least on the construction and stuff, and doing the template for the booklet that is going to come with it. Now, I believe that having them in my eyesight and thinking about the people that have already bought this kit, and I'm working hard to get it done and produced for them, they are the people I'm thinking about. Now, it's very similar to good old Stephen Bartlett. I mean, if you've been around a little bit, I do love him. He put out a card, like these cards where he's got all the questions for people that have been on his podcast, and the cards say the questions and the answers from some of the guests, because at the end they always, the previous guest asks the next guest a question. And I was one of the first people to buy these. I thought it was a really good tool, really good for my coaching, and to spark discussion in my membership. But I haven't received them yet. Now, obviously, I'm patient. He's going to deliver. But the reason why he's done that is to make sure it's executed. And also, when you execute on and deliver on an idea, it's okay for you to, especially if you're communicating it, and this is the key, you have to communicate it, making sure that you're telling people, I'm still working on this because I want to deliver the best thing I can. And that's what Stephen Bartlett's done. He's told us all, they weren't up to scratch when they first got printed. We've ordered more from a different printers or whatever. But executing is really following through on an idea, on a promise. And it's funny because I went to an event in Manchester last week, and one of the things I said, what are you going to take action on this week? And again, part of my strategy is to write 500 words a day on my book. And so I thought, right, in the next week, I would have written 3,500 words. And I stood up in front of this room full of amazing and powerful women and said, I am going to write 3,500 words on my book. And I'm going to do that in the next week. Now, when I sat down over the weekend, it got to, I think it was Saturday. On Saturday, I was sitting there thinking, I haven't written my 500 words today. If I don't deliver, I've stood up in front of that room full of people and I won't have delivered on what I said. It's so powerful. So I delivered and executed it. And actually, I need to share the deadline with everybody as saying I need to have got to 50,000 words by this date, which I'm going to do. By saying it out loud and having that date or that sort of accountability or that sentence, that phrase of what you are executing helps you to execute it. So if you've got an idea, if you're on a mission with something, if you've got a vision with something, how are you going to actually execute it? Think about all of those pain points, the times where you're going to get up and think, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to do that. I'd rather do something else. What are you going to do in those moments? You're going to use the 1% factor. You're going to put a timer on. Are you going to think about all those people that you might be letting down if you don't get it done? How are you going to execute that next plan, idea, anything that is going to move your business forward or even for yourself? How are you going to execute it? And think about that now. What is it going to take for you to get it done and when? There you go, Mini Monday. I've said it before. If you've already subscribed and you follow this podcast already, or subscribe to the YouTube channel, you can finish listening now. But if you haven't, please. I'm not begging, but it just helps me share what I want to achieve. And I want to help as many people transform from worriers to warriors via trauma-informed approach. And that's what's really, really key. My way of sharing information and teaching is ideal for anybody that have experienced trauma or have ADHD or some other neurodivergent brain. Any other neurodivergent. Because the way I deliver is ideal for anyone that has experienced trauma, and it's very inclusive. So it's basically for everyone, even if you haven't experienced any trauma. If you've got any questions, let me know. But have a good week.